Hello, everyone. Monday. I am Mr. Brad Chester, the youngest man at 40K, and what I've got today is the new Cherokee 2023 Grand Mojo Death Machine Crusher. Stephen Crowley. Underneath me, I've got Mr. Thomas Togden, previously known on the Lam as Jamas Togden. And I got Brian Horton over here, rocking some Salt City GT Mojo. How goes, everybody?
Going good. Going pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Good weekend. Before we ask what Brad and Crowley did this weekend, Brad, why don't us get us, me and you get like a good 5 second of shadow fame before they get to talk about the monster weekend they had.
What, where, how, when?
I mean, all I did this weekend was come up with list ideas, theory craft, and do a little TTS. Outside of that, I was pretty quiet this weekend. Unlike the other two.
I went ice fishing on Saturday, and then Sunday I got to watch some Death or Glory on stream. It seemed like they were on stream most of the day, and then got to watch an epic duel between Mr. Brad Chester and Stephen Crowley, into which Stephen Crowley then decided to make Brad Chester.
He dropped bows on me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Why would you do something like this? Before we go into the weekend breakdown, everyone, I do want to specifically talk about one of the excellent things that's going to be happening because of Steven's win. We've got Tom is going to be rocking out this particular costume right here, everyone. We got it. Courtesy of Brian Horton, we're making this happen. If you guys want to pay Tom a visit at Adepticon, he will be wearing that for the weekend. That's
not the weekend. One day. The deal was one.
I feel like that. Once you get into that, you're not coming out of that, man. That thing is.
I am not.
Have you seen Tom? He is a large man who sweats. I don't think you want him wearing that for more than a day. But if our community happened to buy 2 or 3 of them, and they all showed up at Tom's house, he probably wouldn't have a choice.
Yeah, I'm not wearing that the whole weekend.
You know how easy it would be to pack, dude? You just need 4 of those. That's all you need, bro.
Not happy. I will say this. I promised Steven that I would eat my crow if he did well. And the man didn't just do well. He dominated, including beating down his 40K hero, Brad Chester. And an epic beatdown it was.
I mean, he beat me down so bad that I felt like I was going to die. Literally.
Yeah. I need you to know, out of respect, Brad, on the way home, I went to Mama Chester's house, and I got your letter where you promised her you were going to win, so she never saw it.
Best thing said today.
So I want to give Steven right here his crow. Or I'll eat my crow, I mean. Steven, congratulations. I apologize for not believing in the Deathwing mojo. I will say, though, if I was there, they would not have won. But, let's go on from here. So,
exactly.
Congratulations. I would like to be one of the first to welcome you to the Super Major Winter Club in the DOG family. It's good to have another one, a part of the crew. But more importantly, you did it in style. Your sportsmanship was on absolute fire. In fact, let me pull up. We advertised the Reddit. I don't know if you saw the Reddit stuff we posted earlier. Did you read it yet?
Not yet.
Well, I got a little comment here. Give me one second. I'm going to pull this up for you, and I want to read it to you then. I'm not going to try to say this guy's name because it looks like a bunch of letters to me. Like literally just a bunch of gibberish. No offense if you're watching the show. I apologize.
I feel like all names are made of a bunch of letters. Tom's like, I refuse to acknowledge these.
No, this is his name. It's VRAHLKBGJI. Don't know how to pronounce that. Not gonna try. Strong showing at Cherokee, guys. Crowley, I don't know if you read these comments, but just want to say great sportsmanship in your last 2 games on War Games Live. Specifically, I thought it was awesome that you were cool about John fixing that movement error in a semifinals game. So I don't know who that is, but he gave you some good props. I upvoted that. So here we are. Sorry if you guys can't hear me, bro. I am losing my voice.
Dude, I have to give you mad props on this. We talked a little bit about the thing. I love it when a plan comes together. Like in multiple games we had, but especially the semifinals game. we really came together as a team at lunches and planning out. And I was so rock solid with you when you carried that plan perfectly in your game. How are we going to win this game? And we're like, everybody kind of hammered it out together and you're like, I'm doing this. And we're like, yes, this is exactly the plan. And throughout the entire game, you're like, I never wavered from the plan and crushed it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was watching it and I was chatting in our one of our 5-man team chats, Brad. I was like, man, it was like half of the game. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna pull it out. Looks like he's got himself a little bit of a hole. He allowed himself to get shot turn 1. He took a lot of damage, a lot of unnecessary damage. But the man didn't flinch. He kept his mojo going and stuck to the game plan and pulled it out.
I will say, because but I've been listening to Brad for many years now. One of the things that Brad taught me early in my competitive career is that whenever you touch a model, it is either to score you points or to deny a point.
100%, brother.
While I could have, in that situation when I lost, I think it's like 6 or 7 Terminators on turn 1, panicked, but holding the line worked out exactly. And there was actually a reason why I wanted to get shot on turn 1, not to the degree where I would roll something like 18 ones on turn 1, but I did want to get shot on turn 1, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, stick to your.
I do have to give Sam. I got to give Sam Dayton much props. I used his entire army throughout the event, and I'm going to tell him real quick, as we had talked before the event, and I kept telling Sam over and over, I need at least 2 units of woofing, and I need these. And I don't want suppressors. And he's like, dude, you need only 1 woofing and you have to take suppressors. And I was like, man, I think you're wrong, but you've been playing a lot of Space Wolves, so I'm definitely going to include what you said in there.
I was definitely involved in this conversation, by the way. I heard it all. 100%.
I love everything about that. By the way, I've never been more disappointed in a unit. I would have rather just taken servitors doing backflips or something.
I want to give one more person props at Cherokee. Particularly the whole team did really well. Breton did well. Jamie did really well. But what I want to say really good is I want to give props to Mr. Brad Chester himself on his channel. Not just because he's sitting in here with us, but, for those of you obviously aware, Brad joined Death or Glory full-time this about 2 months ago, right, Brad?
Yeah.
And Death or Glory was made based off of way me and Brad talked about how we want a team 5 years ago. I was gone for a while. I'll come back. I make the team. Brad's doing his own thing at other places. Comes on the team each year. He goes, you know what? Not only are we going to be great sports, but we're going for it this season. We're going to coach up. We're going to develop, a lot of top players. And our team, it ain't just going to be a one-man show with just Tom trying to carry it. We're going to develop everyone. And you know what? That man is a great coach because we can see what he's doing with some of our teammates, the way he rallies us, the way he gets us to talk about game plans, which we never really did before. We just kind of showed up and drank and did our thing. So props to you, Brad. Look at first Super Major, you're fully on board with us, and we get a DOG versus DOG final.
It was awesome. The whole team, you have to give props to the team. We did really well this weekend, really well. I was very excited for that because the goal for this year is DOG top team on the ITC ranking, and we started out super strong. We had tons of guys doing really good over the weekend.
Not only that, if you were to look at the pictures that Kicker from Frontline Gaming put up on Facebook, he took pictures of the teams that were there. DOG had the strongest showing of team with the most members. If you just look at the faces of everybody, just the most smiles, it just looked fantastic. I'm kind of sad I missed it, but it was pretty awesome.
You know what?
Picture when I wasn't there.
Yeah, you're not in that picture for some reason, Steven. I don't get it. Why? He's like, you know what? I'm gonna go hide for some reason.
I don't even know when that picture was taken, to be honest. My kid wears the exact same sweatshirt every single day, so I could not tell you the difference in the days based on what Izzy was wearing.
Honestly, though, first Super Major, we have a lot of top players that weren't there, so if that's the first signs things to come, I think it's gonna be a great season. But the most important thing is, we're talking about winning. We probably shouldn't talk too much because that's not our goal. This season, we want to do well. Brad says he wants us to win ITC. I want us to do well. Sportsmanship is still number one to us, though. That's what we're
100%.
not
Well,
gonna
the thing is that I love having the team is a team goal because everybody's in it together. That's why I love teams, man. And I have to give props. Andy was there the entire weekend. My faithful squire made things happen, making sure I didn't break a bunch of things. So, not breaking models totally was me. And looking up all the rules.
So, let's get to what a lot of people want to hear right now. Let's talk about the Cherokee Open, right? So, obviously, a lot of the talk times can go to the two men that was there, and they stood taller than everyone else. I mean, one of them stood taller than everyone else. The other one kind of stood taller than everyone else. And he was with my boots. And he was like on all fours, like, "Here, I got you, Brad. Step on my back. That way you can pretend you're tall too." But
we got a picture somewhere of Brad being taller than one person there.
Oh, really?
That is true.
The thing is,
it looks like a 12-year-old person, but it was definitely.
I
how he
was
taller
so excited that there was one person that was taller than him. Like, I immediately need a picture.
So we got two gentlemen that went there and rocked it out. One played Space Wolves, one played Dark Angels. You know what, Brad? Since you took second place, let's hear from you, and then we'll get to the champion afterwards. So, Brad, tell us a little bit about your list. Tell us a little bit about the matches you played. Don't go into details because you talk forever if we give you every moment.
So, guys, get ready for story time with Uncle Brad. I had a great time. I did, like I said, and he was a super help. He was with me with all my games. We were discussing tactic stuff. We did it. And the team was awesome, too. I started off, I can't tell you half the games. I literally remember the games that I lose most of the time. I'm an old man. But I played a lot of different stuff. I played a couple of DOGs. Played, of course, Steven. Jeremy with the Jeremy Stan with his custodes. Played the big old Rogel Dorn tanks. And another reason that I'm still on, we need to do something with player place terrain, but I won't go into a rant about that. But it is a big deal when you're like, who got first drop? This guy did. And we put a giant road in the middle. The list wise, man, I'm super excited about Space Wolves. After playing them and getting them on the board, I always felt I had an out. I had a thing to do. They felt very shenanigansy, and I really, really enjoyed playing the list, and I made some changes to that list based on the games played. And I even feel that I've got a stronger list going forward, and I'm super excited to put it on the board with some of the team tournaments we've got coming up. I'm super excited about that. You know who didn't make the cut? The suppressors.
You know what, Sam Dayton, shame on you for making him run those suppressors.
But, the MVPs of the weekend for me in the list. Well, first off, the strat, like just keen senses. Well, that thing's busted. Love it. But the Wolfen were amazing. And the Terminators felt decent, but I think that I'm going to go with triple Wolfguard, triple Wolfen, triple Longfang, triple Skyclaw, and just run the max threes of everything on that because they felt really, really good. And I like the speed, and I like to be able to replace things. Like, you shoot out your missiles, then boom, somebody gets ready, stages for the next. So I learned a lot. I mean, I feel like every tournament that you should go to, you should be coming away with different play styles, maybe something small in your unit, just maybe things that you could have done. So I feel that you should always be learning something from every tournament, to be honest. I mean, I did well, but also I feel that it helped me for the rest of the season. You know what I mean? To really feel how the Army did against a lot of different matchups, too. I played a lot of different engagements, so that was really nice, too. I was glad that I just didn't play a whole bunch of games against one particular archetype. And he's got it. Knights, World Leaders, Custos, Votan, IG. I played a lot of stuff. So it was, I begged him. No, you didn't. You for sure pushed those suppressions on me, Sam. But, God, they were so awful.
So, Brad, one of my local guys wanted to know what, outside of what you would change out of the list, what did you find, especially going against guard, was the key unit?
The Wolfen for the charge rerolls was super nice, and you've got a lot of shenanigans with them. that Wolfen the Fist unit, or sorry, Power or Thunderhammer unit. That's why I'm going to put 3 of them now. Sam, I did like the Axe Squad, but the just having hammers is just such a big deal. The 3 damage is gigantic, and the guys that were like really grew on me after playing a lot of games. The 110 point Skyclaw units were like mini MVPs just because they such a low price point, and they've got 4 Meltas, a Thunderhammer, a Power Fist, and just a ton of trash attacks. And they're just, of course, fast. So you can get places, do things. I mean, I locked down in my semifinal game the Rugel Dorn on the side for the entire game, basically. Just pinned him in with some Skyclaws, and that was a money move because it basically guaranteed me points the rest of the game. So, like, they just having more stuff, you know how I am in the first place. I want more things on the table, and mobility's a big thing, man. You know what I mean? So I like to be able to respond to things. So those are really, really good. I think the Wolfen are MVPs. The Wolf Guard are, I'm going to use my old man sports reference, of the Cal Ripken Jr. of the Army. They always feel pretty good. Most of the time they don't super go crazy, but they just feel like something that you have to have. And the Skyclaws just felt like the wild card. I could put them anywhere I wanted. Grab, do an action, basically pick up somebody, trade where I had to, things of that nature. They were a good low point piece that I could use to really have options to do things.
Nice. So we got a couple good questions here real quick, Brad, before we go further. Favorite boy wants to know, what were you scared of as a Space Wolf list with your army?
Nothing really. That's why I like it so much. I don't think it's just, it's not like it crushes everything, but I felt like I have the tools against any matchup. Especially when I, learned from some of the things, like, I tried to make up for Sam's suppressor error, but now those are the things like that won't be in there anymore.
I mean, Sam probably cost you the tournament. You know what I'm saying?
It is. I mean, probably, you know what I mean?
I'm quite confident if you had a second squad of Wolfen, you'd easily overpower Steven. And then I wouldn't be wearing no damn cow suit. You screwed over him.
So in some ways, Sam, we're proud of you.
Yeah. But to Sam has a question. How did you like the Power Axis squad?
I did, but I didn't, because that's why I'm just going to go to all hammers. We points wise, we made it fit, and they had a great volume of attacks, but that 3 damage is just too valuable into so many things in the meta right now. But it's just really, really nice. And
then Lyle, the man who's now going to be in charge of the Friday night fights, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Brad, are you considering any changes to your salaries list based on your Space Wolf experience this weekend, or is that apples and oranges?
A little bit of apples and oranges, but it's you still get the experience of how is the meta looking? What kind of army lists were there? And I don't know if I would change my salaries list that much. But I haven't really dived into that. I was really like ultra hyper focused on, I was so excited with the Space Wolves. I just kept making smaller changes to my existing list and taking out a few things. I had a really good time with them, you know what I mean? And they felt like they played really well into the meta. I made some, like in the finals, for instance, I made a couple of mistakes. They came back to haunt me pretty terribly. And Steven played like a super solid game. He just went, I'm going to allow you to make mistakes, and just played his game, basically. He never extended out, you know what I mean? Because I feel like if he would have pushed out at any point in time, I would have just stole those points from him, and he just didn't. So, but I didn't.
My bad, brother.
No, I didn't think that. I thought I had the tools, and I definitely think that the newer list is taking what I felt that I didn't have enough of and just doubling down on that.
All right, and then we have a follow-up to that question from Anna, doubling on Lyle's question. Do you see yourself sticking with Space Wolves for a while?
Yes, I do. I had a crazy amount of fun with them. I felt like it was like playing Eldar with power armor. There was so much shenanigans I could do. And they just have a huge pound town of attacks that you can just throw down on people. And those double exploding 6s turns are just super big sometimes.
All right. We have another question for this one from Jonas Togden. Never heard of him before, but what is the toughness of Wolfen?
Screw you. Dude, I literally played my Wolfen Sergeant with not enough attacks the entire weekend. We found out game 7 that Wolfen have a gun. um, you know, just you start to get the rules right up around game 9.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a chance to hear from the runner-up. Now it's the champions' time. The man, the myth, the legend of Cherokee 2023, Stephen Crowley. Tell us about your list a little bit, what you liked about it, what you learned from it, and give us a little bit of rundown of your games.
Okay. I'm first going to say, Sam, your suppressor pick was actually important in game 9 because the suppressors killed more than the last cannons did.
Ooh.
I can't help the fact that you literally were 4-upping like a madman. The better parts were, and I have to give you mad props because I was just a little bit of a dumpster in our game, and you're like, I'll just move some of your models, bro. And then you just rolled all of the dice. But the better part was when you started rolling the hits the hits and wounds for you, and then the saves for me, nothing happened because you were defending your own self against it. I'm like, you roll all the dice. This is crazy talk.
What you should have done is you had him roll your saves.
And
So you had to roll your hits and wounds, and you roll his saves.
Yeah, I would have picked it would have been a 2-turn game. I do want to go into the first one. There was a question back, and I was screwing around with Chad, asking him whether I should charge because we had talked about it earlier in the week. And I still would have done the first turn charge. There was zero reason for me to put the captain in because I'm only charging 1 unit. I don't need to make it fight last because I have guys that fight out of death.
So I was actually talking to Crowley a little bit about that. I agree you shouldn't have put the captain because me and Crowley talked for about 15, 20 minutes on his way home that night. I was like, man, I get that Brad did a first turn charge. I don't get why he did it with 3 units, knowing that you had to CP to interrupt another one.
Well, he didn't. The thing is that he basically I charged the 1 big 10-man, and I didn't need to put fight last on it. I have fights on death, Wolfen. So I fight the Wolf Guard first, and then I fight the Wolfen on death. It's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I basically hit the side with fights last with 2 units on the one that he moved down to the bottom right objective. I just made a mistake, and he didn't. Capitalized on my mistakes. You know what I mean? But the thing is that statistically, I still kill that unit. But it's transhuman and 4-ups, man. Like you have to. That's an educated guess. It's like a super high percent chance they die.
So I want to counter
play a game, and you're like, don't go Tamabunga turn 1. Statistically, you're not going to win, and he's never right. I always win.
Exactly.
Don't listen to his statistics.
So, but I think statistically, you actually made the right choice, and I've talked about this ad nauseum with a few folks. Because if you don't put the captain in, the Wolfen don't actually kill the unit themselves, and then I interrupt because there was only 4 Terminators on the right side that you were engaging, and I first ranked, second ranked.
No, I fight the Wolf Guard first. The Wolfen were the ones that went all the way around.
Right, but then I can pull out of the Wolfen and just clap the Wolf Guard.
I don't think that you can, to be honest.
4 on that side. We're gonna have to pull up screenshots. We're gonna have to do a
because I wrapped them super hard. That was why I went so far around. You know what I mean? I literally had range to like 6 or 7 models, so I was pretty confident on that. And the captain, I just don't think was in the right place. Period. I think it so. But that's what it is. You know what I mean? Like I said, you look for opportunities where your opponent either overcommits or just makes a few errors. Like I had no business putting 2 guys without a fight's lasting because you're always going to interrupt. You know what I mean? So you took advantage of play misses that I did. You know what I mean? Dice are going to go up and down. You know what I mean? That's just a thing, and that's your army's based on durability on that, and you stuck to your game plan. You know what I mean? So I had some things I could have done, but everything's always 20. You know, hindsight's amazingly 20/20. You know what I mean? But you played well and found my mistakes and punished me horribly for them. So
well, let's give the champion time in chat now. Like we gave him a nice introduction a few minutes ago. The man, the myth, the legend of the 2023 Cherokee Open. The newest member of the Super Major Winter Club of DOG, Mr. Stephen Crowley. Please give us a little bit of insight of your list. And don't take too long because we want to talk about other things, but don't get long-winded like Brad.
That's what I do.
and then let's go from there.
So we discussed it on stream a little bit, but it was 30 Terminators, 6 characters: Ezekiel, Azrael, the flag of doom and destruction.
The flag of doom and destruction.
That flag actually belongs to guard, not.
Oh, I'm sorry. The flag of undying doom and destruction.
There we go. Thank you.
And that flag only died in one game for the entire weekend, like a boss, because when it's a Terminator, people don't want to kill it for some reason.
No, they want to kill it. They can't kill it. You're getting these terms messed up here, Steven.
I had the Ravenwing Apothecary and I don't know, the Talon Master. There we go. All of them, I got messed up. I came in this was a list that was designed. Yes, I will give credit that I did not listen and add more bikes. That I just dropped my infiltrators and added 2-man command squads. So we'll go with that. Oh, that's so mean. That's so mean. Chad is being so mean to me. Yes, I did build and paint that list that week. Thank you. I actually got compliments on my painting this weekend, which scares me even more.
Oh, Jesus.
No, it was better when you were trying to explain.
Was it Brad Chester after you drink a
when he tried to point out his list or his models to me, and he's like, "This black guy is slightly different than this dark black guy. That's slightly different than this dark green guy." And I was like, "How about you just point at shit for me, Steven? Crowley, just point. All right, I'm good."
So the reason that list functions really well in the meta right now is because it preys on a lot of things outside of guard, and then in guard you're just trying to mass them. So a lot of the things that are really good into guard right now are wanting to be aggressive, a lot of melee focus, and a lot of playing very forward and aggressive. And that list just stands there and asks you a question. And I felt like that was a good meta pick into the current environment. And obviously this weekend I was right. It's just 30 Terminators, 2-man command squads, so that way you have a lot of flexibility with being able to drop banners. That was a good call out by Tom last week. You've got the flexibility.
Well, you gave credit to him for the command squads, even though it was me. That's hurtful. Literally hurtful.
I also said it, but I'll give it to
Okay, I'll give it to Brett.
This
that
is
was 100%.
Hold on a minute.
tear in my eye.
Out of the two of us, only one of us ever ran command squads, and I made them famous when I played Archangels.
Now, in defense, though, Tom, Brad said that I had a chance to win. You said that there was no way that list won.
Well, that's because I was still thinking of going at the time. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why you're wearing a cow suit.
No chance if I show up with guard, baby boy.
Okay. I mean, you could have got Brad, and then he would have beat your guard list, and I still win, even if you're there.
I can't beat you.
Shots fired.
Okay. So really good noticeable matches that I want to cover, and I'll give some shout outs. Steven, Cosgrove, Justin Booth were fantastic opponents playing CSM and Sisters reliably. I don't think that either of them had the expectation of a playing against a list that was just going to stand still. Steven actually was very surprised on turn 2 when all I did was move forward and take 2 minutes to plant a banner and then end turn again, and he had no idea what I was doing, and it didn't logically make sense because I could have charged his Terminators, but it was more fun that way. I wanted him to charge me, right? Abaddon needs to come out from that wall. Logan Heath, XBZ is a team friend of our team. We do scrims with them all the time. I got to play into his Iron Hands list. That was one of the notable games I'll talk about. The table, they call it the Air Force Base. Is that right, Brad?
Oh my god, that's the ones with the skeleton building in the middle.
It's
Oh my god, that table's horrible.
So you want to talk?
I love when I play Tower.
Yeah. The worst possible matchup you can possibly get is playing Terminators into that, where all the buildings are 6 inches apart on Tide of Convergence. Yeah. It was a fantastic game. He had to make it even worse, he was running a Thunderfire cannon for Tremor Shells. So my 10-man brick that I kept as a 10-man brick waddled 2.5 inches.
I was just about to say, they go nowhere. You're like, look, woe is you if you hit a forest. You're just like, I'll just stay here.
I had to command point reroll my advance on turn 1 because I needed to roll a 4 to be able to make it onto the objective. because he was very mean and killed my Stubborn Defiance on turn 1 because he killed my infiltrators, but there was nothing I could do in that situation. And it was a fantastic blowout back and forth. He had really good tech in there. I had to actually use the fallback and shoot stratagem on to my Terminators, not to shoot, but to get out of a Calexis Assassin so that the Arbiter's Gaze could take her down because she was a pain in the neck. And it literally came down to like 2 points at the end where I was able to fall back and plant a banner. And between that banner and another banner I was able to plant that turn, that was the 2 points that it came out. But it was a fantastic game. Really enjoyed my game with Thomas Bird from Pro Tabletop. That was one of the matchups.
You and I played him back to back. It was awesome.
Right. Yeah. He was playing Votan, and I don't know if you've heard, but Votan with being able to auto wound you by hitting you on 4s is real bad. But I got whatever priority targets is called now. I can't remember off the top of my head. So I could score a passive 45 just by standing on my 2 objectives. So I scored a passive 45 by standing on my 2 objectives. It was a fantastic game. He killed an absolute major amount of Terminators. The only thing is that in hindsight, I think the correct call was to make my Stubborn Defiance the priority target because that's where I put both of his lay claims and just go cowabunga full strength into that area to be able to knock me off of there. But instead, he spread himself across the 2 back objectives trying to knock me off of both. And I don't know if anybody's heard, but Deathwing Terminators are kind of hard to push off. So if you give
super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Never had problems killing
them. Jeremy Stan, one of the newer DOG members, an absolute fantastic guy. I got him in round 1 of the top cut, and
how did we do that? We just switched opponents, by the way. You played Bird, and then I played Bird, and then I played Jeremy, and then you played him back to back. Like, next, you're up. Tag me in. I got this.
They wanted to have rematches with the DOG bosses, and they're working on it.
Come on, man. We're end game bosses. Come on. I'm not a mid game boss.
I want to call out real quick. Being someone who is watching from home because I couldn't go to Cherokee, I think what's more impressive than you pulling out the victory, watching your game against Lennon. There was a moment there, got called out in the Reddit post, talked about before. Really showcases what the team's about. It's about sportsmanship. Game's on the line, right? It can go either way at this point. You've taken a lot of damage turn 1, way more than you thought you were going to take, and you find out that his lieutenant is 9 inches away from or more than 9 inches away, so they didn't have right to war. You could have easily been like, nope, you didn't. You put him where it was. We're measuring, you're like 11 inches away. It's not.
Bro,
that's a massive swing.
We don't do that.
Exactly. That's my point.
Exactly.
But hold on, Brad. Don't get it. I want Steven answers. This is a moment to shine. Let the boy shine. You know? In a big game like that, a lot of players would like, nope, you don't get it. I keep the middle. I keep the banner up. I get 12 points on my turn. You don't hold me down. But you being who you are, you said, no, absolutely. Move your guy back a little bit. Take some tax. You did some. Looked like it was a little weird, confusing moment. You got to try to figure out what actually happened there. But I thought that was fantastic. I was in another chat. I was in a couple of chats and we're all talking or asked my opinion on the game and stuff as we're watching it. And they're like, Tom, do you think you should have done it? And my answer is absolutely. I think you did the right call, even if you lose the game because of it. Because it really showcased what we want. But what was in your thought in that moment? Like when that happened, what were you think? Did you consider not give it to him, or was you just always like, yeah, okay?
Obviously within 9 inches. The only thing that I was wondering about was if he could have had the dude with the chainsword back, which he couldn't have, because then it wouldn't have impacted anything, right? But there was never a second thought, right? Obviously, he put his guy there to be within 9 inches to be able to knock me off with OBSEC, right? And it was a strong consideration. He knew exactly what he was doing. He staged to there before I was just out of range of being able to give them fight last with Ezekiel, unfortunately. So I had to give 1 mortal wound to the dude in the middle and give him the fight last just so that I could set up the Talon Master a little bit easier. But no, like there's a big thing when you're playing, especially when you're playing at top tables, we all play by intent. And the reason for that is because you never want to have a circumstance where you're blaming, like, you want to get a gotcha, because gotchas suck for everybody involved, right? If you make a tactical choice and it's the wrong choice, you can learn from that. If you placed a crate and it got bumped magically during the game and that puts you 0.025 inches out of being in your aura where you obviously had staged for this exact moment, and then your opponent tells you no, then they're not beating you. They're winning by a default.
It's shenanigans.
So you're trying to say you want to beat somebody at their best, not at their worst.
Absolutely, right?
Fantastic. Love it. Absolutely love it. I remember when I actually met you in person was at Chicago Open, right? And what made us talk and eventually you getting an invite to the team, because most people don't realize DOG is an invite-only team. Well, I mean, actually, there's a couple of teams that they do their own things. DOG is a collection of teams that make one big team. Crowley got actually invited to the main team, the OG team, which is very exclusive because I watched something very similar at Chicago Open. Took us to a really good conversation, and he could have won a game over some misunderstandings, but he said, "No, what, dude, we'll just dice off for it." And at the moment, the TL would have gave it to him because he was more, I wouldn't say believable, but based on the situation, he would have probably won the argument. And he said, "No, we'll roll off for it," and it cost him the game. And I love it. I love the fact that not only did you win the first Super Major of the U.S. season, you did it in absolute fucking style. And I'm gonna say fucking there, I don't care. Absolute fucking style.
Hey, we cuss all the time here. We're good. You just have to wait for the first 3 minutes.
Fine. I try to never swear on this stream because we have kids watching, and I apologize if anyone's kids watching, but I want to put the emphasis on it. I was very, very proud of that moment. And before we go any further, there's a question I wanted to ask Brad, and I forgot to ask him, and I apologize.
Oh, God.
The game you played against the 3 Rogel Dorns, we didn't get to see a lot of that, but every time they zoomed over, it's like turn 1, you somehow trapped them. It looked like a master play.
You know why? Because Rogel Dorns, the 21st ranked out of 20 Primarchs. And I refuse to lose models to anyone that puts that name on him. If he shot me with a Lehman Russ, I would have taken those wounds. Not a Rogel Dorn.
And let's give. Go ahead and go on, Brad. Actually, I'm sorry.
No, we were talking to the sportsmanship. I thought it really set the tone for exactly how we were going to play our game. When Steven's like, "Hey, can I change from Stubborn Defiance to Warp Ritual?" I don't care so much, Crowley. just why would I care?
There's a story behind that. So, originally, I was going to take Warp Ritual, but then Brad challenged me to a no prisoners off.
That is true.
That I had to accept. And then you can't take no prisoners and O's. So I went and just defaulted back. And then in my voice, I heard Brad on the show last, if you take Stubborn Defiance, you're never going to score it. So I immediately said, I'll just go back to the original plan and go to Warp Ritual. Because what do? We follow the original plan. Unless it's a bro and they make you a bet that you can't do something like kill something, then you.
We were sitting there talking about it. And I go, this game could be really boring if we play it exactly the way that there's 2 ways you could play it. And I'm like, I don't want to play a boring game. I feel like I got run over by a car. I want to have some fun and roll some dice. And we did. And I had a great time. I look like a dumpster fire, but I had a great time doing it.
Would not look like a dumpster fire.
Screw you.
Good call to Dean P in our chat. Love the fact you said that you let your opponent do that. That's the absolute right way to play the game. Love it, love it, love it. Keep it up. Even if you're going to lose the game, it's better for both of you to walk away feeling better and knowing you did the best sportsmanship thing. I think it's sad that a lot of people prioritize winning over that, so love the fact you did that. But you know what? Our man, our judge, our TO of the channel, Mr. Brian Horton, has been quiet for too long. Let's get your opinion in here. Let's get you to step it up. Let's hear that little wonderful voice of yours. You got to watch the meta this weekend.
Make it sexy.
Yeah, make it sexy, baby. Tell us what you think of the meta going forward, what we've seen. What do you think's going to be some surprise armies that do well? What do you think some armies that might not do so well?
So the meta is pretty healthy. I think it ultimately depends on the terrain setups you're on. I think that the list that Brad is talking about running going forward as we kind of move into the GW terrain season a little bit is going to get really interesting as it favors melee a bit more. Crowley's list, I also think, does fairly well on the GW terrain because you can set up your angles a little more interestingly.
So good. We'll be able to talk about that.
I'm retiring that list too.
I think he's going to change the list up some. Don't get me wrong, but there's definitely some interesting things with that. I think right now you are in, for the meta, a little bit of wild west. There's definitely some armies that are going to struggle and have some difficulty moving forward, that don't have mobility or have been hit a little too hard with points increases and debuffs to their army. But I think most armies are in a really good state. I think Marines are going to get a even bigger push here in a week as they get the new Primaris units. That Dreadnought looks terrifying in some ways. Although on first glance I was like, I don't really like the Primaris Devastator squads, the Desolations. I don't know, there's Primaris Devastator squads. Anyways, I think they're going to shake up the meta, giving Iron Hands a little bit more punch. And I think it's going to be interesting for a little bit. And the thing that I see moving forward is the ability to have mobility is going to become even more important as things progress. I just think that's going to become huge.
Okay, I like it. Brad, Steve, the same question, you guys. We'll start with Brad first, second placer before the champ. Do you think there's going to be some surprises in the meta? Like, do you agree with what Brian's saying, or do you have anything to add to that?
I think that I like the Wild West because there's some real scissors, paper, rock in right now. Like, for instance, Craft World had a couple wins over the weekend tournament, like GT wins. But I was looking through their matches, and they just have to escape guard. Like, 9 mortar guard is just a murderers. It's just awful for Craft World.
Run 9 mortars in guard. Oh.
But exactly. But the thing is that they play very well.
Every guard player.
Yeah, exactly. But Eldar play very well into the rest of the meta right now. So like, it's one of those did you play different things, and we saw like a ton of stuff. Steven, I mean, you played. How many different factions did you play over the weekend?
Sisters, Chaos Space Marines, Iron Hands. I literally played a different faction every single day.
That's to say. I was to say. I think I was the same. You know what I mean? Where I played so many different things, and I think that's super exciting because you have to be ready for something different all the time, which means you have to have versatile planning in your list and in your play style for it. So I like where we're at right now. Some things could be tweaked, but like, to be perfectly honest, I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of changes going in because we know we're going to be riding into June. So I don't know what you're going to, if we're going to see a lot of changes. I thought it was like a super fun meta. So I played 2 back-to-backs. I went to Arkansas with Blake. I did melee at Shiloh, played 5 different things, went to Cherokee and played 9 different faction games. So I thought it was super exciting.
And Carly, what about you, brother?
So I'm going to start, excuse me, by saying how I was right that the meta was going to be pretty well defined by Tau and Guard being top, and then Dark Angels being second, and then Craft World Pointy Ears being third. And I still say that.
Had a rough weekend from what it looked like.
So Tau has a rough time. 2 things. One, Breton was a super solid Tau player. I want to give a shout out to. He did really well this weekend. He had one mistake in his game that cost him from getting to the top 8. And I really, really wish that he had made it to the top 8 because I would have loved to have given the opportunity to play against him. But I think, and one of the things that I'll touch on later is why I have to play Guard, is that you're seeing a lot of an interesting situation with the Guard, that Guard is a meta or as an army like Marines, where there's lots of people that own it but have different play styles. But you're not seeing a lot of the lists that I would consider meta right now.
Like optimized. Yeah. Man, I think they're going to be an issue, man. Like,
yeah.
Cool.
And the bad part is that their percentage is being pulled down for a lot of reasons, and the hobby lag is consistent, I think, with this book. Like even John Lennon had said that he wanted to play Guard this weekend, but he couldn't because of hobby lag. I think that what we're going to run into is that they're not going to get inflated fast enough to get hit by the data slate that we were anticipating in March. So we're literally going to get into whatever the meta is going into the beginning of March through this Cherokee. What we're going to see.
Probably on that, do you think they will complete? I don't think that the data slate's going to hit before Adepticon for sure. Do you think they're going to hit that late into Adepticon, after Adepticon, and that'll be part of the deciding factor?
My concern is that the only thing that will get hit is Marines, because I think that if they're gonna do anything, they're gonna say DA is too strong right now, which I'm sorry, DA players. But realistically, it's either going to be just small adjustments to DA and maybe they fix hot shot last fuel slot. Yeah.
I think you're going to see some changes to some of the free gear. So people are seeing it's pretty insane right now.
I mean, the one thing I know you're going to see is you're going to see Carsicans get hit, but I think the hobby lag you speak of, Carsicans were limited to like 2 kits per retailer in the US, and unless you got them really, really fast on GW's website, you weren't getting 3 boxes. And I think that's going to be a drag that we're going to see for a little while, as they have a little bit of a supply chain issue with that stuff.
But do you think that GW is going to hit a 50% army? And I don't think they are.
No.
I think they might make the clarification that you can only do 6 mortal wounds to a single target, which I think everybody in this call agrees is a fantastic change.
Yes.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
But I do not think they're actually going to like point increase Casterkins or anything. Because you don't see that many Casterkins. Like this weekend, there was only 2 lists that
people just didn't have them, is the thing.
I think part of that's the hobby lag. They were only in that 1 box set that was also limited. Then they came out, retailers could only order 2 of them. And so that just puts a restriction on the number of them available out there for people to get their hands on, which is why they're going for astronomical money right now on the secondary market. I just think that until they are widely available, you're not going to see them get hit with the Nerf bat, but it's a known problem, at least from people I've talked to, TOs I've talked to. Everybody's already starting to restrict the number of wounds you can do with it. It seems like it's a known issue.
But let me ask you the James Workshop question. You know this, but you have just gotten a lot of negative press and bad rep for hitting Votan before people could play with their stuff. You're in March. You only have April, May, and June. Theoretically, we have no idea when it's coming out. June, when 10th edition is coming out. Do you smack something and get that reputational damage again for a 3-month period where none of your large events will be impacted, except maybe the team event? But I imagine that'll probably still be on Index Hammer, right? So why, when you're going to be able to fix it in 3 months and it's not hurting the meta now, why do you gut it currently?
I think you hit it as looking at this from a tournament organizer standpoint. You hit it now because it's better to say oops than say sorry. I just made a mistake putting that out instead of saying, hey, sorry, we let a unit run wild for 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, the Casterkins maybe, but like most of the other stuff, even if you think it's slightly egregious, I would be very worried about nerfing anybody that just got raised up. Because of the fact that we are in the most diverse. I spent 2 weeks playing in the most diverse meta in a tournaments that I've played in since 8th, basically. And while certain things could be tweaked, it's like once you start tweaking, does that change how things are? I don't know. I would be very wary of making too many adjustments right now.
I just think it's going to be FAQ'd. I don't think they're going to get a points increase. I don't think they're going to do much beyond that. I just think it's going to be clarified with an FAQ on they can do for the units shooting. It can do a maximum of 6 mortals.
Oh yeah,
and I think
that's how everyone else is. I just can't imagine that not going on.
The solution of the quote unquote nerf that it'll be there. I think most TOs are already doing that. I've seen it at multiple events, player packets, because I read player packets all the time. And it seems to be a continuous theme. I just think that they need to make it an official nerf. So therefore it doesn't happen to where a top tier player goes in with 3 units of Casterkins, obliterates somebody, and somebody gets bad feels.
Yeah.
I can see that, but a couple of things real quick. One, if you guys are watching, you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to us. Brand new channel. I mean, we're not too brand new. We're about 2 months old now. A little over 2 months. Subscribe to us if you can. Give us some likes. Trying to grow it out there. Got a lot of great things coming out soon. One of them we just announced today on our Discord. So if you haven't seen our Discord, just type Exclamation Point Discord to give you a link to it, or the Patreon if you want to see what we offer in Patreon. Exclamation Point Patreon. But brought back Friday Night Fights, where our coaches will start twice a month, so bi-weekly. We'll have where patrons will and our community get to vote on which coaches will fight and what factions are playing. The first one's already been announced. Mr. Bretton Weiss, who said his towel won't lose the guard, called me out. He's playing my new guard list. He guarantees a victory against me, so you'll see me and him throw it down. So we'll see what we can do there. It's coming up this Friday at 9 o'clock. It's going to be pretty fun. And then Brad has released 2 episodes so far of the Fluffy DOG series. It's where he gets him and Blake Law, his old partner in crime from the Unbroken series, where they talk only about fluff. You bring on guests, right, Brad?
Mm-hmm. We'll bring out either 1 or 2 guests, and we're going to be doing some wolves and some salamanders coming next, 2 back-to-backs.
Oh yeah, and then so we got that going on. We will eventually. I mean, we've been saying it for about 3 weeks now. We got to get onto it. We're releasing Flavor of Fluff, where we invite our community to come on and they give us an army and some limitations, either models they really like and want to see played, or maybe just what they have available in their collection. We build them the most competitive list we can, and we bring them on. We talk about it, what we would do with it, how we play with it, and some fluff in there as well, which would be kind of fun. And tons of other things in the work. So helping us grow by liking and subscribing. Let's bring out more stuff.
It takes a village to raise a Brad. Anything helps in Patreon, all that. I'd like to continue to do stuff. I got to pay for all these medications, guys. Let's do this.
The also thing as well is if you guys look at our Patreon, it is designed to keep the cost as down as possible. We don't want to be like other organizations. Not that I'm throwing any shade at them, where we want to keep things around affordable cost. So you talk to any of our Patreon members for $15 a month. They get a complete 24 access to us coaches. The community is always talking in the Patreon channels, always going over a list, always doing reviews. Brad's in there a lot, I'm in there a lot. Steven will start being in there a lot now that he's a super major winner, because we're going to make him.
Now that he's involved.
Yeah.
Well, but the big, seriously, everyone, it's not just about what we can get to you, and that just to be able to continue to make content, like literally anything helps. If you can throw anything, I mean, just self-promoting out there like nobody's business, begging for the thing. But let's move on with the meta.
Like we say, I want to say one more thing, Brad. Like we say in the sales, because I work for T-Mobile as a district manager. We always talk about grandfather plans. Your price never going up. Your price locked. What we always tell our patrons, we're never going to raise the price. And anything we release in the future is always going to be available to you. So the more things we release, the more people we get, the more you get for the same cost. So we try to keep a good value, and our focus is to being as helpful to the community as we can. But going from there, anyone got what else we want to go next? Give me a topic.
I want to talk about the win rates though, because we haven't had any crazy win rates for the season yet. We've got a couple of like Dark Angels are at 58. We've got some out because they broke Eldari into a whole bunch of different stuff. One of the versions is 58, but very few games played on it. But for the most part, you're seeing everybody, a lot of lists being in a lot of factions being in the 50% range, which I think is really cool.
You can't have it much healthier than most factions being between 45 and 55. That's absolutely fantastic. There's a few outliers who are really low. There's a couple who are in the higher 50s, but nobody's in that like 65, 70% win rate. I think that's absolutely fantastic for the meta. It's great for the tournament scene because it gives players the ability to play the games. If you can bring a decent, well-synergized take-on-all-comers list and you understand your list and what most people's tournament lists do, you can do really well in an event. And that's fantastic to see.
Yeah, I love that. GW win rates are magic. I usually break it down. I love the guy on competitive 40K that does the Meta Monday, and I love the I have to look it up again. I use it every week, but the UK guys do a great job because they break it by experienced players, and they can break down the data a lot. But it's important to know what's going on because you can identify problems for them. But the biggest thing is that I really do like where it is. So I hope they don't do, for a change, I hope they actually don't do too much in the meta right now.
Well, it's a good example. We can use history here, right? There's a tale of two cities, right? We have 2 years ago this time was the Drukari meta, and they were very, very light, and we had Drukari for a year. And I still think, and me and Brad agree to a degree because we've had this conversation here a couple of times, there was a little bit of solving the meta could have done, right? And that they were trying
100%.
to, but that was a lot of just, it was one of the early books and it was strong, right? I'll remind everybody, be careful what you wish for, because last year this time, we had both Tau and Custos get gutted right before Tyranids came out. And the only thing that was equipped at the time to be able to deal with Tyranids was Tau, and they got knocked dead in the teeth right at that time. And
That's when Custos also got all of their nerfs.
yeah. So we literally just handed Tyranids the most beautiful meta that they possibly could have had to absolutely destroy and conquer basically every event. Because if you look at that matchup with pre-nerf Tau and pre-nerf Tyranids
and Harlequins,
right? You're running into a scenario where Tau have the early games for turns 1, 2, and possibly 3, and Tyranids start hitting on turn 3, and then Tau starts suffering because they're going to be Montclaw at that point because they still have the +1 AP. So it creates.
That was always Cayenne. Lies, always Cayenne.
Except I've seen you play Montclaw at
I was about to say, I've literally played you, my guy. You don't turn this podcast into a house of lies.
The game that's on stream from that meta still. Pulled Fabricator's Forge, and I played Jamie Beaton, and I literally played Cayenne against his light Harlequins.
Sure. You are a man of it. I am a man of integrity. I've seen you play Montclaw.
Sometimes. It depends on how they deployed, but like most of the times I was Cayenne, so I always wanted to redeploy 3 times. But against the light Harlequins, which is the big boogeyman time, you can watch me on stream play Cayenne into it.
I actually watched that game when I was trying to learn how to play Tau. But the purpose I say of that is like right now we're in this really good spot where things are balanced delicately, but nobody knows, right? So, for instance, Dark Angels All Terminators just won an event. You're going to see a significant spike up in Dark Angels All Terminators. But that also means that the win rate's going to go down because only one person can win an event, but more people will take it, right? And there were still like 4 of them there, Brad. Was it 4? There was one person that had the exact same list as me, which I found funny.
That's actually a really good point. It's 100% true.
Yeah. When you see the times when you know that a win rate is the most egregious is when the army becomes as prevalent as Tyranids and yet still has a sky-high win rate, you know there's a problem. So yeah, I say that all to say it's like we don't want to necessarily like drop kick Dark Angels and guard right now because we don't know how the meta is going to shake out.
You got to get some games in with stuff. I mean, the thing is we need to have faster FAQs and not as much nerfs. So like you get those because you can do easy things. Castrican, cool, no big deal. You know, let's see how it works out if they can only do 6 mortals to one unit. You know what I mean? Which is the norm, really, for most of the mortal wound strats. So you need to give those small things first before that you go, well, how about we change the points on 23 different things? You know, you don't want to hit people and make them unplayable when they just got their toys.
Hey, Brian, do me a favor and do exclamation point winner.
Oh, no.
Exclamation point winning in YouTube?
Winner in the channel, yeah. Let's see if this works.
All I want to say is this
That's getting. I'm not logged in, so it's grumpy.
This poll that I put up that says, did Tom go full Monka always is getting some hits. Looks like 67% yes so far.
80 out of 18 polls. I think quite a few people have seen you Montclaw.
Man, it didn't work. I've been trying to install this feature, and I thought it was going to work. Very sad.
Work.
I think you didn't put in the full thing, though. Winner chicken dinner.
The one thing I got to say is someone who sees a lot of games played judges a reasonable amount of games. Not quite as many this year as I have in the past, but this meta, from just watching what transpired over the weekend and looking at a variety of different events, was really interesting because there was a variety of winners. There was a variety of player skills winning, which I really enjoyed seeing. Yes, top players still did well at the big events, and that's not a surprise because player skill is definitely a thing that comes into a factor. but it was interesting to see like some lists that when I quick glance at them, I went, I don't see that. It was nice to see. So it was just really interesting as a TO going, hey, it's nice to see that, so-and-so with such a list is going higher. It was just really cool. It was just something that we haven't seen in quite a long time.
Well, do me a favor. It did win. It did do something. Brad had to do it, not me. KR Quintero won. So do me a favor. Get in touch with Brian, KR. I'm going to have him send you something just because I want to celebrate the DOG finals with Crowley joining it. We're going to give you something. I don't know. Pick an army and Brian said something and just charge me. I don't care.
Okay.
And then Bobby, to answer your question, are we heading to ACO? Absolutely. So far, ACO year 1 was won by DOG Brad. Year 2 was won by me. So DOG's gonna go out there and try to defend our crown.
The three-peat.
The three-peat, baby.
And I will be at ACO as a player.
What? That's not even real.
I will be there as a player. Yes.
So I'm going to give the round out. Last thoughts about the weekend, starting with the winner, Mr. Stephen Crowley, now known as Stephen Cowley for his Moo Crew representation.
There we go. Well, actually, Stephen actually has his own team now.
Well,
He's
getting a Moo Crew jersey though. They're getting him a jersey, and we already put it up in chat. It is now Cowley.
Okay, Stephen Cowley. What is your team called? Because it was a funny meme too. What was it again?
It's DOG Baywatch, but it's spelled Bay as in Tarzan is Bay.
Ah, I like it.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, I want to say, and I'm still Moo Crew in the heart. I want to say that this was probably one of the most fantastic events that I've been into in a while. It was extremely well run. It was extremely well organized. We had a really good time. The judges were doing a really good job of taking care of us. The team was there in force. We were supporting each other. It was fantastic. DOG is more of a family. I know that term gets thrown around clichely, but really a thing. We had really awesome dinners. It was great. The venue is actually really good. I encourage if you want to go to Cherokee next year. The venue is really good. The food on site, while taking 3.5 years to get there by walking across the entire hotel function, high quality food. But yeah, it was a really good time, a really good experience. And when I take ACO, Tom won't have an excuse this time.
Oh, man.
Shots fired.
I love it.
Uh-oh.
You know
Tomorrow, we're just going to see a video of Steven going, Tom can't beat me.
Listen, if Crowley beats me at ACO, doesn't even have to win the event. If we somehow play each other and he beats me, or he places higher than me,
Bro,
I am going to get a custom jersey made that has the name that says, I can't beat Cowley. And I will wear it for an entire event.
I'm just saying, how many costumes are you going to make Crowley put you in, man? It's like, I don't know what happened to Tom, man, but it's been like 9 months. That dude has to show up with a different animal costume in every tournament.
Yeah, it's getting weird. Like, he's going to make me wear a furry costume one time. But,
just thought he was a real enthusiastic cosplayer, but...
You know, we're gonna settle this. Are you coming to DOG Invitational?
I do not know yet. I don't even know what the DOG Invitational is.
Yeah, we don't even know what that is.
I was just about to say, he doesn't have one. Are you showing up?
Listen,
he was trying to get you to say always yes because he's like, you have to make it because no matter what day, he's just going to change it to another day that you are available.
Yeah, the thing is that it is a very hardcore but fun tournament. If you show up, we're grudge matching round 1.
Oh, okay.
It's literally a practice tournament. That's the best part about it. This is I still want to go. We've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again because I tell the same stories all the time. I love the fact that the Invitational now was literally supposed to be DOG getting together and playing some practice games for MCM, and so many of us wanted to get together that it became a GT.
Yeah, and it was a Shark Tank, like Brenton said it. There were some hard hitters there, some great games. It was awesome. Also, before we go too much further, team, I like community. I like you guys start sending us some complicated judges questions you have, because the man himself, the TO of the channel, Mr. Brian Horton, the Legion, is going to have the Judges Corner released soon, where he's going to answer your questions and give you from a judge's perspective of how it works and why it works that way. And other than that, that's all I got. You guys have anything that you want to add?
I'm going to dance my way out.
Thank you for joining us. It was an absolute blast. Hope to see you guys next week.